An epistle, containing the strange medical experience of Karshish, the Arab physician by Robert Browning Karshish, the picker-up of learningĺs crumbs, the not-incurious in Godĺs handiwork, this manĺs-flesh he hath admirably made, blown like a bubble, kneaded like a paste, to coop up and keep down on earth a space that puff of vapour from his mouth, manĺs. Soul, to Abib, all-sagacious in our art, breeder in me of what poor skill I boast, like me inquisitive how pricks and cracks befall the flesh through too much stress and strain, whereby the wily vapour fain would slip back and rejoin its source before the term, an aptest in contrivance, under God. To baffle it by deftly stopping such, the vagrant scholar to his sage at home sends greeting, health and knowledge, fame with peace. 3 samples of true snakestone, rarer still, one of the other sort, the melon-shaped, but fitter, pounded fine, for charms than drugs. And writeth now the 22nd time. My journeyings were brought to Jericho, thus I resume. Who studious in our art shall count a little labour unrepaid? I have shed sweat enough, left flesh and bone on many a flinty furlong of this land. Also, the countryside is all on fire with rumours of a marching hitherward. Some say Vespasian cometh, some, his son. A black lynx snarled and pricked a tufted ear. Lust of my blood inflamed his yellow balls, I cried. And threw my staff and he was gone. Twice have the robbers stripped and beaten me, and once a town declared me for a spy. But at the end, I reached Jerusalem, since this poor covert where I pass the night, this Bethany, lies scarce the distance thence a man with plague sores at the 3rd degree runs till he drops down dead. Thou laughest here, elsooth, it elates me, thus reposed and safe, to void the stuffing of my travel scrip and share with thee whatever Jewry yields of viscid choler as observable in tertians, I was nearly bold to say, and falling sickness hath a happier cure than our school wots of. There's a spider here weaves no web, watches on the ledge of tombs, sprinkled with models on en. Ash greyback, take 5 and drop them. But who knows his mind, the Syrian runagate I trust this to. His service payeth me a sublimate blown up his nose to help the ailing eye. Best wait. I reach Jerusalem at morn, there set in order my experiences, gather what most deserves, and give thee all, or I might add, Godĺs. Gum tragicant scales off in purer flakes, shines clearer grained, cracks eltwixt the pestle and the porphyry, in fine exceeds our produce. Scalp disease confounds me, crossing so with leprosy, thou hadst admired one sort I gained at Zor, but zeal outruns discretion. Here I end, yet stay. My Syrian blinketh gratefully, protesteth his devotion is. My price, suppose I write what harms not, though he steal? I half resolve to tell thee, yet I blush, what set me off a writing first of all. An itch I had, a sting to write, a tang. For, be it this townell's barrenness, or else the man had something in the look of him, his case has struck me far more than else worth. So, pardon if, lest presently I lose in the great press of novelty at hand the care and pains this somehow stole from me. I bid thee take the thing while fresh in mind, almost in sight, for, wilt thou have the truth? The very man is gone from me but now, whose ailment is the subject of discourse. Thus then, and let thy better wit help all, else but a case of mania, subinduced by epilepsy, at the turning point of trance prolonged unduly some 3 days, when, by the exhibition of some drug or spell, exorcisation, stroke of art unknown to me and which were well to know, the evil thing outbreaking all at once left the man whole and sound of body and deed, but, flinging, so to speak, Liefel's gates too wide, making a clear house of it too suddenly, the first conceit that entered might inscribe whatever it was minded on the wall so plainly at that vantage, as it were, first come, first served, that nothing subsequent attaineth to erase those fancy scrawls the just returned and new established soul hath gotten now so thoroughly by heart that henceforth she will read or these or none. And first, the manĺs' own firm conviction rests that he was dead, in fact they buried him. That he was dead and then restored to life by a Nazarene physician of his tribe. Saith, the same bade arise, oh and he did rise. Ossic cases are diurnal, oh thou wilt cry. Not so this figment, not, that such a fume, instead of giving way to time and health, should eat itself into the life of life, as saffron tingeth flesh, blood, bones and all. For see, how he takes up the after-life. The man, it is one Lazarus, a Jew, sanguine, proportioned, 50 years of age, the Godĺs habit wholly laudable, as much, indeed, beyond the common health as he were made and put aside to show. Think, could we penetrate by any drug and bathe the wearied soul and worried flesh, and bring it clear and fair, by 3 days'll sleep? Whence has the man the balm that brightens all? This grown man eyes the world now like a child. Some elders of his tribe, I should premise, led in their friend, obedient as a sheep, to bear my inquisition. While they spoke, now sharply, now with sorrow, told the case, he listened not except I spoke to him, but folded his 2 hands and let them talk, watching the flies that buzzed, and yet no fool. And that'll's a sample how his years must go. Look, if a beggar, in fixed middle life, should find a treasure, can he use the same with straitened habits and with tastes starved small, and take at once to his impoverished brain the sudden element that changes things, that sets the undreamed of rapture at his hand and puts the cheap old joy in the scorned dust? Is he not such an one as moves to mirth, warily parsimonious, when no need, wasteful as drunkenness at undue times? All prudent counsel as to what befits the golden mean, is lost on such an one. The manĺs fantastic will is the manĺs law. So here, we call the treasure knowledge, say, increased beyond the fleshly faculty, heaven opened to a soul while yet on earth, earth forced on a soul's use while seeing heaven. The man is witless of the size, the sum, the value in proportion of all things, or whether it be little or be much. Discourse to him of prodigious armaments assembled to besiege his city now, and of the passing of a mule with gourds, eltis 1. Then take it on the other side, speak of some trifling fact, he will gaze rapt with stupor at its very littleness, far as I see, as if in that indeed he caught prodigious import, whole results, and so will turn to us the bystanders in ever the same stupor. Note this point, that we too see not with his opened eyes. Wonder and doubt come wrongly into play, preposterously, at cross purposes. Should his child sicken unto death, why, look for scarce abatement of his cheerfulness, or pretermission of the daily craft, while a word, gesture, glance, from that same child at play or in the school or laid asleep, will startle him to an agony of fear, exasperation, just as like. Demand the reason why, tis but a word, O object, O a gesturo, he regards thee as our Lord who lived there in the pyramid alone looked at us, dost thou mind? When, being young, we both would unadvisedly recite some charmels beginning, from that book of his, able to bid the sun throb wide and burst all into stars, as suns grown old are wont. Thou and the child have each a veil alike thrown o'er your heads, from under which ye both stretch your blind hands and trifle with a match over a mine of Greek fire. Did ye know? He holds on firmly to some thread of life, it is the life to lead perforcedly, which runs across some vast distracting orb of glory on either side. That meager thread, which, conscious of, he must not enter yet, the spiritual life around the earthly life. The law of that is known to him as this, his heart and brain move there, his feet stay here. So is the man perplexed with impulses sudden to start off crosswise, not straight on, proclaiming what is right and wrong across, and not along, this black thread through the blaze. It should be balked by here it cannot be. And off the manĺs soul springs into his face as if he saw again and heard again his sage that bade him oriseo, and he did rise. Something, a word, a tick of the blood within admonishes. Then back he sinks at once to ashes, who was very fire before, in sedulous recurrence to his trade whereby he earneth him the daily bread, and studiously the humbler for that pride, professedly the faultier that he knows Godĺs' secret, while he holds the thread of life. Indeed the especial marking of the man is prone submission to the heavenly will, seeing it, what it is, and why it is. Saith, he will wait patient to the last for that same death which must restore his being to equilibrium, body loosening soul divorced even now by premature full growth. He will live, nay, it pleaseth him to live so long as God please, and just how God please, He even seeketh not to please God more, which meaneth, otherwise, than is God please. Hence, I perceive not he affects to preach the doctrine of his sect whatever it be, make proselytes as madmen thirst to do. How can he give his neighbor the real ground, his own conviction? Ardent as he is, call his great truth a lie, why, still the old Obit as God please reassureth him. I probed the sore as thy disciple should. O how, beast, O said I, this stolid carelessness sufficed thee, when Rome is on her march to stamp out like a little spark thy town, thy tribe, thy crazy tale and thee at once. Oh, he merely looked with his large eyes on me. The man is apathetic, you deduce? Contrariwise, he loves both old and young, able and weak, affects the very brutes and birds, how say I? Flowers of the field, as a wise workman recognizes tools in a mastrel's workshop, loving what they make. Thus is the man as harmless as a lamb, only impatient. Let him do his best, at ignorance and carelessness and sin, and indignation, which is promptly curbed. As when in certain travels I have feigned to be an ignoramus in our art according to some preconceived design, and happed to hear the learningĺs practitioners, steeped in conceit sublimed by ignorance, prattle fantastically on disease, its cause and cure, and I must hold my peace. Thou wilt object, why have I not err? This sought out the sage himself, the Nazarene who wrought this cure, inquiring at the source, conferring with the frankness that befits? Alas! It grieveth me, the learned leech perished in a tumult many years ago, accused, our learningĺs fate, of wizardry, rebellion, to the setting up a rule and creed prodigious as described to me. His death, which happened when the earthquake fell, prefiguring, as soon appeared, the loss to occult learning in our Lord the sage who lived there in the pyramid alone, was wrought by the mad people, that'ls their want, on vain recourse, as I conjecture it, to his tried virtue, for miraculous help. How could he stop the earthquake? That'ls their way. The other imputations must be lies, but take one, though I loathe to give it thee, in mere respect for any good manĺs fame. And after all, our patient Lazarus is stark mad. Should we count on what he says? Perhaps not, though in writing to a leech 'tis well to keep back nothing of a case. This man so cured regards the curer, then is God forgive me. Who but God himself, creator and sustainer of the world, that came and dwelt in flesh on a while? Saith that such an one was born and lived, taught, healed the sick, broke bread at his own house, then died, with Lazarus by, for aught I know, and yet was what I said nor choose repeat, and must have so avouched himself, in fact, in hearing of this very Lazarus who saith, but why all this of what he saith? Why write of trivial matters, things of price calling at every moment for remark? I noticed on the margin of a pool blue flowering borage, the Aleppo sort, aboundeth, very nitrous. It is strange, thy pardon for this long and tedious case, which, now that I review it, needs must seem unduly dwelt on, prolixly set forth. Nor I myself discern in what is writ good cause for the peculiar interest and awe indeed this man has touched me with. Perhaps the journey's end, the weariness had wrought upon me first. I met him thus. I crossed a ridge of short sharp broken hills like an old lionel's cheek teeth. Out there came a moon, made like a face with certain spots multiform, manifold, and menacing. Then a wind rose behind me. So we met in this old sleepy town at unaware, the man and I send thee what is writ. Regard it as a chance, a matter risked to this ambiguous Syrian, he may lose, or steal, or give it thee with equal good. Jerusalem's repose shall make amends for time this letter wastes, thy time and mine. Till when, once more thy pardon and farewell. The very God, think, Abib, dost thou think? So, the all-great, were the all-loving too, so, through the thunder comes a human voice saying, "Ooh heart I made, a heart beats here. Face, my hands fashioned, see it in myself. Thou hast no power nor mayest conceive of mine, but love I gave thee, with myself to love, and thou must love me who have died for thee." Oh, the madman saith he said so, it is strange.